right, so Olivia, we're really sad that you're not here. We miss you. Your friends want you to get better. 4 days in a row sucks. So, or do you not want her to get better? You look at each other like heart to Olivia. We need you back because we miss you. I have a paper to give you back too, so that's lame. But Olivia, at some point in the video, I'll like whisper a code word, and yeah, your friends can tell you what that code word's good for. But all right, pop quiz.
Let's go. That's illegal.
Savannah's got the attitude. Let's go. On the top of your practice page, it asks you. This does not need talking. It asks you, what are your 2 legal moves? And by it asks you, I mean I ask you. That you can perform. This is way old. That you can perform to an expression map. So without talking to each other, at least write down a 1 and a 2, because there are 2 legal moves that we can do. So you're going to write down at least a number. Things that we're allowed to do. Yesterday. Yeah. Yes. Notice I said no talking. So we're going to have legal move number 1. Legal move number 2. Anybody else need one of these? Didn't get one yet. This is where we're writing this. So you need this. You are welcome. If you can't remember, look at your resource page from yesterday. We're writing the answer on this. So if you have this, you should get it back out or you read it. You need your resource page from yesterday. Yeah, that's good. You could have out yesterday's practice page that we did. Where's your resource page? From yesterday. Alright, fight the fog. Get over your Wednesdays and get back with me. Wednesdays. Guys, notice that I labeled my 1 and my 2 in green and red. You can look at the hint up there and ask, what are the green removals doing? What are the red removals doing? And I'm going to random card to put some people what you're allowed to do on both sides of the map. What we were doing yesterday to simplify things and get things.
So are you saying like take away?
We wrote this down yesterday.
Okay, where?
In your notes. Well, I wrote it down. I don't know if you wrote it down because I knew we were going to write it down today.
This is very confusing.
Alright, you're making me feel like a bad teacher, so let's move on.
Random card. Publicly
humiliate. Oh my god.
Publicly humiliate Lily.
It's the same thing.
Lily gets no.
Behead her.
Bring in the guillotine.
Make her drink orange juice.
What?
Do better than me.
Okay.
No, I'm joking. What, do you know these answers?
No.
Yeah, you
You're
do.
not a good teacher.
Lily, to prove to you how good of a teacher
No,
I am.
I don't.
Yesterday, when we were looking at things we could do on both sides of the map before we were going to compare them to each other, like when we ended up comparing them, and this is from your resource page yesterday. You did this yesterday, and you told me how to do this. So you all know the answers to these questions.
I don't understand what you mean by legal moves.
I know, because it's not my question. It's the term that CPM uses, so that's why I'm using it, so you know what this means. If I do whoop and whoop,
Is that illegal?
why am I allowed to do that, Lily?
Because you're taking one off of each side.
So I'm taking the same value from opposite sides. Hey, look, I'm not such a terrible teacher after all. We can remove. So hey, above both of these, you could say we can remove. And the whole like legal moves we're allowed to do is remove.
Where is that?
So it's at the very top of the practice page that I literally just handed you.
No. That one.
This is on your resource page. It's
Yeah.
these.
Okay.
Yes. Now you know everything's right here when you miss class.
Oh, I didn't know the bottom. I got this one.
So we can remove. Hey, we're all writing this down. Guys, I'm going to look for this to be written in your practice. Like, this is part of your practice. You'll get a check minus if you don't have this written down. we can remove same value from opposite sides. Or, and there's just a little switcheroo of words here, may, what is the red showing us that we're allowed to do?
Take away negatives and positives and make it into 0.
So, instead of same values on opposite sides, it's that we can remove opposite values from the same side.
Hey, look at that. You might not be a horrible teacher.
Maybe not.
Still debatable.
You know what? I'm such a not horrible teacher. You know, I told you that we wouldn't have math on Friday. We're gonna have math on Friday.
Yeah, I support it.
Sorry, things changed a little
As
bit.
long as we don't have homework.
I thought we were having glow connections or whatever.
Nah, I'm gonna steal the time back.
You're so
What?
mean.
I am not.
You should
Yes,
have
you
preferred
are.
it.
What that means is that day will shift to somewhere else, probably like Tuesday or a week after that. I moved my dentist appointment. That's what. Because Friday didn't
Why
work
would
out
you
for
do
multiple
that?
things. Because I couldn't get to the vet
Why?
also on Friday.
Why would you just...
For the love of my doggy. That's why.
See, he's a great person.
Do you hate my doggies, Lily?
I don't know. I've never met them.
Well, they're very nice.
I love all dogs.
Wow, that got dark.
I want to meet your dog.
Meredith.
Well,
You're not trying to kill me?
will we have homework on Friday?
No, I can probably make that deal that we won't have
Then
homework.
I'm okay with
There you
that.
go. Alright, so this needs to be on your homework paper, guys. If it's not, that's why I'm delaying and I'm kind of just like bantering up here. Banter's just like back and forth, kind of like pointless conversation. Not pointless necessarily, but we need that on our sheet because that's still what we're doing today.
What's the
Question?
name of her? Oh. I'm just using the same one as... Not question, but kind of question.
Okay, get on with it, Nick.
Oh, we will only forgive you if you bring in a video of you playing with your dog.
Yes.
How am I to film a video of me playing with my dog?
No,
Isn't
no,
that like
you're
have a
like-
selfie stick or something?
Yeah, like bring in the camera, like throw a ball, and like pet them, and like chubby rub them.
Hubby rub 'em?
Chubby rub them. Can you bring your dog to class? Yeah.
Look at the front of your resource page.
That's the only one we'll forgive you.
I technically can't because of dog allergies and everything else,
Oh, yeah,
but I could try to bring them at some other point where they could stay outside, and if people wanted to go to them.
I know that you're allowed to have a class pet dog.
I don't think you are.
You are because
Well, if it's hypoallergenic,
our
maybe.
fourth grade teacher, rats died, so she was looking for another classroom pet. So she was like, "What can I ask to get?" So she looked it like on the wording.
I don't know if that's 100% true. It would probably have to be hypoallergenic. Alright, this is on your paper. On your resource page.
Oh yeah. We didn't teach her that had a bunny in it.
Right here. Right? Referencing Lily's resource page. Guys, I got some people not with me. I'm trying not to be like mean this morning.
Because you're such a good teacher.
So, Matt A, right? These are right? Check this. 3x minus 4 minus. So, Matt A versus Matt B.
We did that yesterday.
No, we didn't do E and F.
We did E on our graph paper.
Did we?
Yes, we
Are
did.
you sure?
Yes. I have
And
it
we
on-
did the distribution?
Yes, I have
Okay, we
it.
did not get to that in the afternoon class, so I'm sorry. In the afternoon class, I'm sorry, I forgot that we had gotten to it. They did not. So look at F. 5 plus negative 3x plus 5x versus...
Since it's already written down, do we have to copy this?
No, you don't have to copy it. We're just working. I'm writing it down so that they're left to right, but now I notice something interesting.
What is that?
Versus. Like a comparison, right? They're not equal. At least we don't think they're equal. We've been told they're probably not equal. So Toby, what could we do with Matt B right now before I even write it down? I can actually look at it and be like, oh, well, that's silly.
Well, the x2 like cancels itself out.
X2?
Or squared.
X squared because it's a square. X squared
Wait a second.
and a minus x squared. Hey, we gotta stop with the whole like, now I'm gonna go over here, now I'm gonna go over there. My classroom's feeling very, very like non-attentive right now. So I need you guys with me. your forefinger and your middle finger, you can make a square. It's not really a square, it'd be a rectangle because argumentative. Your fingers aren't the same length.
Don't get into this.
So these cancel, Toby says, because of positive x squared and negative x squared. So really, I just have 2x and 1. I want you to figure out, go ahead and continue this, which side's bigger. Or are they equal? Because yesterday we figured out those. Was E the one that we found out they were actually equal?
Yeah.
That's what it was. Hey guys, I should see everyone with a pencil in your hand right now or something in your hand. If you're just sitting and waiting, you're not engaging, right? All I really ask out of you guys is come to class and engage. I'm not really going to give you a pop quiz. I'm not really going to collect, I collect homework occasionally, but just come to class and engage. So pick up that pencil. What do we do here? So, Mirabelle, put you in the hot seat. You can skip, especially because you were gone yesterday. But what could I do with the left side, my mat A, to simplify some things? Nick?
Oh, so then you get the negative 3x and the 3x and then get the
5 3x?
5 3. Wait a second.
I do know what
and
you
then
mean,
it's like
Nick.
2x and then you got another 5x. So you like the 2x, 5x. They're amigos, so they're amigos.
They are. They're amigos. They are friends. They come together, and when they come together, they're a 2x. Now, Eric, do I need to keep going, or can I kind of figure out which side is bigger at this point?
I mean, you can pretty much figure out which side is bigger at this point.
Why is that?
Because both of them are just 2x plus regular number, and then you just, if we are assuming that 2x is like, for the purpose of theoretical thinking, we'll just say it's 1,
Now hold on, pause that, because I actually want to take you down a different road. So Eric's hypothesizing, so let's say 2x is whatever. That's a good road to take. But look what I did. 2x is green box. Green box plus 5 versus green box plus 1. Which one's more? The 5. So, what Eric's hypothesizing, put those down for a second. What Eric's hypothesizing is just a sign of value that's the same on both sides. So I love it. Eric's like, well, if this is 1, this is 1. What's bigger, 6 or 2? But we don't know that it's 1. So just think about the fact that something plus 5 versus the same thing plus 1, well, yeah, we know A is bigger than B. No matter if green box is positive or negative or whatever, that will be true. And by green box, I mean 2x. Nick?
So then, let's say it ends up being like 5 plus 1x.
If it's a different amount of x's, we can't do what we just did.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where your question's going. So we're going to see those situations today.
What?
So what Nick was getting at was if it's a different amount of x's, left side versus right side, we can't do what we just did. It does not work out that way.
Can you just subtract, like, if they were different, and so, like, say it was 2x.
Can we stop with the what ifs till we play with some of those? You're going to ask what ifs about questions we're about to do. And I want you to discover what we did. Not just me tell you ahead of time. So yesterday, still in comparing expressions, but now, you don't have to write this out really. Our title gets fancier, comparing quantities with variables. Guess what? Quantities with variables, those are expressions.
Whoa.
We're still comparing expressions. So, especially back table, make sure you're with me. And not just, I can't tell what you're writing. You might be writing appropriate things. Maybe not. I don't know. So, on your paper, I think I put this one on there. Nope, not till 17. And that's practice work. So, you don't have these on your paper, but I want you to look up here. Think about what can we do? Oh, crap, yeah, you do flip your resource page.
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking you guys have these. Scroll on there. Aha, winner, winner.
Chicken dinner.
So actually, I want you to take a few minutes. Try to work all 4 of these. If B kind of scares you because there's no map set up for you, skip it, do ACB. If you want to set up your map, remember the back of your notes from yesterday, you made an expression map. Algebra tiles are up here.
No, you told us they were over there.
Or over there. They're both places. So if you want algebra tiles to make the mats, you can. You can come grab some. But take let's even say maybe like 5 minutes. Try these out on your own. I'm going to walk around. If you're at all confused, I expect that you stick up a hand and ask me a question, please. You are solving all of these on your resource page. Yes, talk with each other, definitely.
These three x's cancel. The negative ones will be the and then the positive ones cancel.
Remove zeros from the same sides.
And then those two cancel.
Remove equal values from the different sides.
And then two positives cancel.
Okay.
And then
You can
we
positive.
have one negative cancels.
Okay,
So then it's 0 versus 4.
What's up?
No, 0 versus 5.
I got positive 3 versus negative 1.
You know you have a folder directly behind you where you can remove things like
Oh
this.
shoot, we can take away 2. Oh, we can take away 2 negatives. No, we can't. Oh yeah, it would be negative 1. You're right.
Is greater than negative 1.
Yeah, you're right.
I've already set up a D.
You mean what you sorted, right?
So it's 2x.
Just stick this on your desk. Clean some things out of your mind, okay?
It would
Like,
2x.
probably solve a couple of these first, and then clean stuff out your mind.
Minus 4.
Guys, remember, if your binder's getting full, you have a location in my room to ditch some papers. Don't do that like right this moment, but remember that exists. You what? No, actually, somebody yesterday, their binder was like exploding. I was like, remember that thing? They hadn't put any at all because they made the folder and then forgot about it. We can make you one. There's a ton of hanging folders back there. Anybody have questions right now?
Alright. So 2x plus 2 versus...
Well, so we have 2 x's, 2 3's, and then just 4 negatives. Right? 3 x's, 1 negative, a negative x, a positive x.
I need my highlighters.
Alright, so then we cancel 2 positive x's on this.
If we get to a point like where we don't know which one's bigger because they're different variables, what thing should we write? Like if it's like a 5x and like a 4x, we don't know.
Which one?
Like what thingy should I write?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a
Should I
good
just
question.
write a good question?
Nick's got a really good question about D. He's like, I don't know what to put between these because we don't have equal x's. That's a really good point, Nick.
Oh yeah, we could just...
Should I just write question mark?
Yeah.
So then it's 0 versus 0.
For C?
I'm going to go ahead and draw some of our work up here. Don't quote me on colors. Like, don't check red, green, whatever. I'm actually going to work with some different colors because of that. But I'm going to show some legal things that we're allowed to do.
That is illegal.
Hey guys, your 7th grade is showing. Please try to put it away.
Your 7th grade.
Well, I am a seventh.
Where?
Well, we're acting like this and that.
Yeah, guys, he thinks it's a me.
It's in the game.
Well, what
Stop
is
being
3x?
such a Cody.
Yeah, stop explaining.
Hey, just write question mark since we don't know.
I don't know what 3x is.
Just write question mark. Because we can't assume because it's there.
If you reduce out everything, that is possible in A. Looks like we get to 4 and 0.
Really?
I think.
I got 3 and negative 1.
Yeah, I got 3 negative 1
I
too.
got 3.
That's the same thing.
I got 3 and
It's the same
Oh yeah,
thing.
then we subtract.
3 versus negative 1.
If you add 1 to both sides.
Hey, I don't know if I need to go shut that wall or what, but it feels like there's lots of unnecessary noise.
Go shut that wall.
Remember, this is the same. It's just 1 less on each side. It means you did something different in here, which is okay. What you did different is actually this one only got 1 of those taken away, and 1 of these canceled out with 1 of these, leaving this negative in the mat, and leaving only 3 positives in the math. That's what you did different. It's the same. All you needed to figure out was A is bigger than B, right? So left side's bigger than right side. If I go down to C, because I think that was the next kind of like easier one, and B we're going to have to figure out what to do with. Go ahead and keep working. I'm going to show some legal things that we can do up here.
Did you want us to do?
What's that? Yeah,
Do you
what
want
are
us
we
to do
doing?
A, B, C,
14,
D?
or do you want me to start on 14 too?
Yeah, go ahead and start on whatever you can.
want us to do
I'm confused.
Or if you want to, just work on a practice problem, like work on a homework problem. Yeah, if you can.
Can you get someone to do a
Do
random?
B if you can. Yeah, don't be scared of B.
But the B is.
I'm gonna color code C because my purples are leaving together.
And they love each other.
Excuse me, my purples are opposites. My reds I can draw together, but they're leaving together. These are leaving together. These can leave together. I don't know if I told this to your class, but sometimes it's easiest to just make all the zeros that you can, and then go from there. I could take away an X on both.
And then you can take it away. That way,
-1 off of both.
And then we're done.
Oh crap.
0, 0.
Oh, 0, 0. Mat A equals mat B. Obviously, when it started, mat A was different than mat B, but actually when simplified, they're equivalent values. I was debating whether to call on somebody or not. Sarah, have you done D yet?
Yeah.
Did you get did you get an answer or did you hit a roadblock? You got an answer. What'd you get? 1 is less than 3. Now let's on D, like this one. All right, let's double check how we did that. Can you tell me one thing we can do?
You can cancel one. Oh wait.
Ooh. So this is why I always tell you guys check your work.
Wait, never mind.
Give me one move. Doesn't matter what you did on your paper. Give me one move. Yeah, so one of these X's, if I bring it out, one of these X's, I bring it out. Cool. Zach, what else can I do?
Take away 3 on each side.
Take away 3 on each side. I assumed you meant positive because that's all that we have 3 of. Now I have 3x and -2.
Yeah, plus. It's the other way though.
3x and -2. Now I could write plus -2, right? Or I could just write 3x minus 2. And this is 4. Do I know what x is?
No.
Do I know what 4 is?
No. Yes.
Yeah, we do. We know what 4 is. Come on, answer before you think. 4 is 4. Which is bigger, 4 or -2? 4, obviously. But we don't know what 3x is. Let's go back to what Eric and I were talking about. This is green box minus 2. We don't know what green box is. This is 4. Crap. There's no green box.
There's no green box.
So we can't relate these. We don't know. So guys, if you put an inequality somewhere here, greater than, less than, something like that, please go back and cross it out. Don't erase it. Literally cross it out. Say, we don't know. We don't know enough. And in math, what we say is not enough. What do you think? Not enough info. And actually, eventually, you can abbreviate that with NEI. You can literally say, NEI is not enough info.
NEI.
As long as you can remember what it stands for. Not enough information. Now, looping back up to B. If I do what Matt A asked me to do, you know what would be funny if Mr. Estes had actually just snuck in my classroom and put something on my computer that made that happen.
A virus.
Whenever I scrolled down.
That's kind of funny.
Before I write down Mat B, I'm gonna simplify a couple things. What's a 3x and a -x?
2x.
a 2x. And what's a -1 and a +4?
3.
A 3.
I really messed up.
We can group my 6 and my 4 together, right? Because they're amigos, as Rico told us.
Yes.
So we get 2x and 2 versus 2x and 3. Do we have the same thing we don't know on both sides? Yeah. We've got, now we can call it blue box. There in the big blue box. And which is bigger, 2 or 3? 3. So mat A is less than mat B.
I messed that up. Oh, I still got the same.
Questions on any of these? Toby, you doing all right, man?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need to do some jumping jacks?
I think we all need to
Do you need to stand
Let's
at
all
that
do
standing
jumping
desk?
jacks.
Because that's the point of a standing desk. I don't care. I'd rather do, instead of a jumping jack, I like doing the whole like up and then all the way down.
Hot stretch.
Yeah, if you need to do some movement, I don't care.
Too soft.
Sometimes, Toby, you really probably need to get some blood, like oxygenated blood.
I have a question. At the end, can we do one of those videos where we have to guess the theme song?
Oh, maybe if we get through all we need to. Callie's over here showing off.
Try hard.
So here's where this goes. Here's where this goes. We just found out 2x plus 2, 2x plus 3, right? On your graph paper, please write down 2x plus 2 versus 2x plus, or crap, no, not that one.
That's
D.
a no word.
Crap?
Yes.
Man, even my mom let me say crap.
2.
3x minus 2 versus 4.
Rico is stricter than your mother.
3x minus 2, I highly doubt that.
Oh.
Knowing that Rico literally
Rico, you're not making it.
I will admit, I had my mouth washed out with soap once, only once. Then I got smarter.
It was so poisoning.
That's kind of not very good for, your
Well, tell that to my
No,
mom in
soap's not
1998 or whatever year
toxic.
it was.
Soap's not toxic.
Well, you know, this is what happens.
Soap back then was.
Soap isn't toxic.
I have a challenge for you. I have a challenge for you.
What is it?
I want you to figure out for what value of x is the left side greater. For what value of x is the left side smaller than the right side, of course, is what we're comparing. And what value of x makes them equal. You might want to start with the third question and then work your other two from there.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know this is -2.
Whatever, Lily.
Whatever, Mr. Hudson.
You're so mean to Mr. Hudson.
2
Yeah, such a meanie.
is equal.
I'm a bad teacher. That's just
And I'll get over it. So then that means for x is bigger.
It's scarred for life.
I think it's actually more so how noisy Mrs. Boring through this today.
Yeah, so why are you doing this?
So we want a greater, we want a less, and we want an equal. Question? Oh, I don't want an answer.
Are you gonna random card this too? Oh, Olivia's gonna be so jealous.
Now, Araya. I need to shuffle these at some point. But Araya, did you start with the greater than, equal, or the less than? Like, which way are you taking? The less than? So you're trying to make 3x minus 2 less than 4?
Yes.
So if that's what we want to do, how are you figuring that out?
Well, I did 1.
Why 1?
Because if you do 1 times 3, then it'll just be 3, and then 3 minus 2.
3 minus 2 makes 1, which is less than 4. So x equals 1 works for a less than value. Or 0. Or negative 1. Or 1 or less. What about if x equals 2? Zach? So if we plug in a 2 here, 3 times 2, 6 minus 2. So if x equals 2, then they're equal values. And then if x, we want x to be, we want 3x minus 2 to be greater than 4. What can we plug in to make that happen? Nick?
Anything bigger than 2.
So, like, 3 or more. Wait. You said anything bigger than 2. If I write what Nick just said this.
Wouldn't that be less than?
You said anything greater than 2, right?
We don't know that.
Didn't you say x needs to be greater than 2 for,
never mind, yeah.
for this to be true? Guys, here's the really cool thing about algebra, and we've done a little bit of this already. Whatever symbol we decide we want in the middle, we can make happen. Right? If you're not told the relationship between them, and they don't have a nice, like, same value on both sides, we can make anything we want happen. So check this out. If I decide to make these equal to each other, and you might want to write this on your paper because this is where we're going with life. We could add 2 to both sides. Yeah, like algebra is really important for the next, like, 5 years of your life, pretty much. No joke. This is where your math career is headed. Hey, Alea, I need you to put that away for a minute because we're doing new-ish stuff now. So this becomes 3x because we're writing out the process. I know you might know how to do it, but I want you guys all writing out the process. How do we go from 3x to just x?
Divide by 3.
Ooh, divide because this is multiplied, right? So we divide.
So x equals 2.
So when x equals 2, the values of these two expressions are equal. So then we can, from that number, tweak however we want. What if x isn't 2? What if it was 3 or 1? Or what happens then? But what we often do is say, actually, if the two sides are equal, what is the thing you don't know? Well, first off, the one thing we don't know is 6, but that's 3 times the x. So then we divide and get just the x. Whoever you need, you're welcome to take it.
Hi, Mr. S. Did you mess with Mr. Hudson's computer?
Every time well, let's see if we can make it happen. So if I was on this screen and I was like writing, and then I went all the way down to the bottom and I went to do something else, and I go to write, see, it's not gonna happen now. It jumps back to the top of the screen for like some weird.
Said you.
No, I said, wouldn't it be funny if Estes actually was just like playing a prank on me and actually?
That's something I would do though.
See?
He wrote butt on Miss.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Miss Dunn had her like presentation on,
And he
had
typed
her computer
butt
goes,
in it.
and he goes butt.
I don't think he would do that.
He did it.
Estes is a teacher.
Good.
All right. Check out 14. Check out 14. It's on your resource page.
That's
If-
really what you do.
Why don't you like 14, Morgan?
You know, if I do it a long time before,
Who what?
like I would do it like this.
It's not nice, she says.
If I could just
So let's look at what it asks us to do. Hold on.
so I grab it during like
If I want to figure out a way to only have,
or 8 over
hey, Estes, go in the hall. You're real loud, man.
Oh, we're done now.
If we want to only have x on the left, there's a couple things we're allowed to do. Now, I want you to go down this road of like imagination with me, right? Imagination land. Can I remove these? Hey, stick with me. Can I remove those?
Maybe.
Yes, because I'm gonna add them.
Nikki?
Only if you have those tiles on the other side.
Only if I have those tiles. I couldn't have paid you to have a better answer than that. Only if I have those tiles over here. Do I have those tiles over here?
No.
We don't.
Not yet.
They're visible.
Kinda. They're not there yet. What happens? What happens if I give Nick $1? This is $1, and then I tell him he owes me $1.
They cancel.
He got happy, then he got sad. So
Do that
if
with
we,
No, you don't deserve a dollar.
$100.
if we put in a 1 and a -1, I know I drew the -1 first, but if we put in a 1 and a -1, what is that?
0.
That's 0. My right side is still 0. So if we do this 6 times, you don't have to draw this, but you have to think with me.
Oh, I see how this works.
This is still 0 though.
This is still 0, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm allowed to do what I did on the left side because I can do it on the right side.
What? Oh, I see.
And then you have.
Everyone get to the point Nick got to, because this is weird,
I got
right? This didn't make sense to me the first year I taught it. I was like, why are we doing this? It seems pointless. We added 0 by adding a +6 and a -6 so that we could take away -6 from both sides. What that shows me is x is relating to 6, right? Because x and -6 over here, well, if I take that away, here's the other way we can do this. See, there it is.
There it is.
If we have x minus 6 compared to 0, let's do what we just did on the last slide. Let's forget about this whole verses. Let's just for a moment say they're equal.
Where's x minus 6?
It was up here, x
Yeah.
and -6.
Well, yeah.
I thought you got rid of that.
I'm starting over,
Oh,
right? I'm starting over to show you what we did. So that's what we had to start, but I'm making up the equals.
Oh, okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily true, but I'm going to operate under that for a minute. I could, to get rid of a -6, add 6. So x equals 6. This is why in algebra we're allowed to do what we do. Because even if you say, well, that isn't over there, I can't do that. Well, yeah, you can. Taking away -6 minus -6, it's just adding 6. All we did was add 6, right? Take away -6, it's the same thing. Here's the other thing I could have done. Keep your eyes up here for a second. What if I bring in a positive x tile over here and join it with one of my negatives? It's 0. So if I bring in 6 positives, it'll all be, and that would bring in these 6 positives. So there are really 3 ways we could think through this. But try that here. This should be on your paper. Get the x by itself. Get the x by itself. Get everything else off of that side. Well, you worked ahead of me. Now you're there. Good. It means I get to teach you something.
I need to add 2 more boxes.
Oh.
I should make a poster that says, like, your confusion is my job security.
But can we add stuff?
When you're confused, it makes sure that I'm going to still have a job
Can we
next
add
week.
stuff though?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can do whatever you want according to algebra. Right, we have 4 on the one side, related to, which we'll for a minute say they're equal.
You did it.
8 and -2. Now, I think a lot of you did this first, if we make zeros first. Guys, I have said it a couple times, but I'm going to say it definitively now. Making zeros first, good idea. So if I make those zeros, I really have 4 compared to x plus 6. And I could either bring in -6, or take away +6, or bring in a bunch of zeros, and then, or I could just do the algebra down here and say, I want to get rid of 6. So get rid of 6.
Oh, smart.
Algebra says we can do it. Right? We don't have to draw it. If these are equal. if, right? Giant if, then this is true.
That's a medium.
You are correct, because it doesn't even have capital letters. If that's true, then this is true.
Oh, okay.
Any questions?
Can you draw a bigger if?
All right, that's all the time I have for today. Toby, what's your question?
If I give you this dollar, will you give me one of your dollars?
No.
No.
If.
That's a big if.
That's a big if.